Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Saturday that you're seeing this. I know it's kind of crazy, kind of a random day for me, but I wanted to just share with you guys a bit of an update and kind of where things are, a life update, as well as like a Dave Ramsey, Debt Snowball update as well. I got a really great question and I didn't check what her name is, but if you're watching this video, you know who you are. But I got a question about our new car, so I'm going to address that as well. And I'm currently in the parking lot at Walmart because I'm picking up my groceries, and I refuse to go to the grocery store anymore, you guys. With Walmart's free pickup, and just, I mean, it's just great. So like, why would I go to the grocery store when I can just order my groceries and pick them up at my convenience? Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and just chat about all of the things today. Okay guys, so I know one question that I've gotten a lot is, what are we doing with Dave Ramsey? Like, what's going on? Obviously we had a baby, we bought a house this year, things have gotten crazy. You guys know that we're not, we have kind of veered away from being super hardcore Dave Ramsey to the T, to the letter followers, and it sounds like a cult of some sort. It's not, I swear. And we still love Dave and we still do follow a lot of his principles, but we have done things kind of out of order. And honestly, this is just what's working for us right now. I mean, I've talked about this a lot, but when my husband and I first sat down and started Dave Ramsey, we had a set list of goals that we wanted to achieve. And one of those goals was obviously starting a family when we felt ready, and purchasing a home and being able to bring our babies home to that home. And just a little bit of disclosure, when my husband was growing up, his dad was a pastor, and they didn't really like own a house, and so they lived like at the church, and then his dad unfortunately passed away when he was about 15, and after that they didn't live in a house. And so for us, it was really important to bring our children home to our home. And even if 10 years from now we end up moving and they're, you know, they grow up the rest of the time in a different house, that's fine, but we wanted to really start out with that foundation. I know that's not like super important to everyone, but that was something that was important to us, and so we were willing to make the sacrifice and make the changes to do so. So, yes, let's move on now. So our Dave Ramsey update. We are still following Dave Ramsey. We are still working on paying off our debt. I know I had mentioned in a couple of videos ago that we were going to basically wait to restart everything until the first of the year, which I think we still will, because we're going into November. I won't have a full paycheck until the middle of November. So we're still kind of doing things a little bit like, what do I want to say? Like reserved, I guess? Conservatively, yeah. So kind of just conservative with the things that we are doing and how we normally do handle our finances. I'll have a budget video with you guys up on Monday, so be excited for that. I'm super excited. I'm so excited to get back into it with you guys. But that's kind of where we are. So we're slowly getting things started again. I did just kind of revamp our budget since obviously I'm back to work now. We have a new expense with daycare and things for our son. My paycheck has changed a little bit because of like our, what's it called? Benefits, like medical and stuff like that. Elias is now on my medical plans at work. So those things have changed a little bit. So November is going to be a little bit of like figuring it out. December is just crazy because it's Christmas. I do get a bonus at work in December, which is amazing. Oh, my groceries are not coming. That's not for me. Oh, they are here. Yay. All right, guys, so I got my groceries. My hair is just like, ugh, it's a nightmare today. But I got my groceries, and so yes, let's pick up where we left off. So that's what we did. So basically we paused our debt snowball, purchased our home, and knew that we would resume once things were kind of back, like on an even keel. So definitely not the way that Dave Ramsey recommends it. However, what we knew was that it would be really difficult to put together a down payment and all of that stuff if we waited until after we had our son to do so. Now, that maybe doesn't make sense, but for us it did. And we just had to like look at the numbers, and we crunched the numbers out both ways and really had to decide if we wanted to spend another, you know, probably 5 years like renting an apartment at $20,000 a year, you know, in rent, or if we wanted to go ahead and purchase the property and be, you know, paying obviously a mortgage, but, you know, basically building equity rather than just paying someone else. And basically, instead of spending that next 5 years saving up money for a down payment, if spending, you know, somewhere like not quite that long, but just finishing our debt payoffs and reaching our other financial goals. So we decided to do the latter, and honestly, like for us, it just made sense. So because of our discipline and what we've achieved so far, we knew that we could get to this point. So we just said, all right, we're gonna do it, and we're just gonna have to stick to this, and that's where we are. So anyway, so as far as like the life update, that's kind of where we are. But as far as like actual like life junk that has happened this week, we thought Elias had an ear infection, and so we had to take him to the doctor, but he didn't, thank goodness. He was just, she thinks that he was just still getting over a cold that he had a couple of weeks ago, and so he was just congested. So that happened, and this is my first full week back to work, so that's been really good, with the exception of obviously leaving to go to the doctor with him. But so that was good. And then this was, he didn't go to daycare all 3 days that he was supposed to this week, but he was there 2 full days, and he did really, really well. So that's super exciting. Just makes me so happy that he's like adjusting really, really well. So that's such good news. That was like the biggest stressor that I had about going back to work. Like, my husband and I knew that I would go back to work. I'm just the type of person that needs like work in order to feel productive and accomplished and all that stuff, and I love being at home. I loved having my time off with him, but it was like a lot. And I was like, I need to go back where like the adults live, and with people, you know, my own age, and who will talk back to me in English rather than baby talk. But obviously, like, I love my time with him. I just love it. So, but work is really great. It's just something that makes me happy. So, work has been good, and baby's good, and all of that. So let's talk about the financial stuff. So as far as our debt snowball, you guys, I don't even know if I've actually shared this with you. Okay guys, so when we started our debt snowball, we had $45,000 in debt, and at the time our income was a little bit under $30,000 for the year. I don't know if I've ever even shared those numbers with you guys, but it was insane. It was so terrifying, and it was really, really crippling. I remember calling my mom and just telling her like what the mess, you know, the mess that we were in, and just how overwhelmed I felt, and the amount of money that we were putting out each month in payments for our debt was just so overwhelming. I shared before that we're making quite a bit more than that now. We're making not quite 3 times that amount. So obviously things have like turned around significantly. There's a whole backstory to what was going on in our, you know, jobs and all of that stuff at that time when we did really start to attack our debt, and when we really realized the mess that we were in. So since that time, we paid off over $20,000, and like I said, for the past year we hadn't done anything. We just stopped our snowball. We piled money aside to put towards our home purchase and towards the birth of our son, and really just to kind of hunker down in the past, you know, 4 months that I was home with him. So in that time, we weren't doing anything with our debt. And then, like I said, we did buy a new car for my husband, which I know people are like, that's absolutely crazy. And I'll go over that too. So currently we are looking at $30,000 that we have left to pay off. Now, like I said, we'd paid off 20, but with his car purchase, it bumped us back up a bit. So here we go again. It kind of feels like we're about to start over, and in a way I guess we are, but at the same time, like, we can look back and see what we have accomplished and know that we have been able to put forth so much effort and so much work, and it's worth it. It really is worth it. And that really, when you're faithful with doing what it is that you know you should be doing, the Lord is faithful to you, and that's really what we've experienced in this. And so Now let's talk about the car. So I know I touched on this a little bit, that my husband's car was old. It was 10 years old and it just wasn't functional for a baby. It was his little, like, you know, I mean, teenage guy car. So he was just barely 18 when he got the car, and he drove it into the ground. Not into the ground, really. I mean, it actually still runs really well, and will be fine for, you know, whoever we sell it to. But for a family, it just wasn't practical. He did, when he was like 18, his sisters had kids, started having kids around when he was that age. And so he did schlep little ones around in his car, and he just says it was so difficult. And since he's the one who takes our son to and from daycare every day, we knew that we wanted something that would be more of a family car for him and something that was easy to get our little guy in and out of the car each day. So that's something that just made really a lot of sense for us. The question that we got asked is, how do we feel about taking on new debt? Honestly, it was like heart-wrenching, and it was like a punch in the gut. However, there was no way that we could have bought the car that he needed. This car is in amazing shape. My dad actually is a big car guy. He knows a lot about cars, but he also has dabbled in like the car industry, so he has a lot of really good connections when it comes to vehicles. So he actually shopped around and found this car for us. We told him what we wanted, and he did the legwork and found this. It was at one of his friends' shops, and so we got a great deal on it. I mean, it's immaculate. There's literally like so few miles on it. It looks in perfect condition. It's leather. It's beautiful, and it was $10,000. So it's perfect for us. It's going to be a great family car until we are out of debt, until we do start putting away for like our car fund for the next upgrade that we want to do, which will be bought in cash. So we're definitely looking forward to that. But for now, we're just going to drive our cars into the ground and get them paid off as quickly as possible. So as far as how we feel about it, it's not obviously like the greatest thing. It's another thing that just goes against Dave's principles, which doesn't make us feel really great, but everything that it provides and what we are able to do now, and the fact that it's going to give us really great longevity, is something that is really reassuring and comforting and feels really good. And it was a really smart purchase, I think, as far as the type of car it is, the condition that it was in, you know, the time that we bought it, all of that stuff. So as far as all that goes, it was a smart purchase. Was it, you know, something that Dave recommends? Of course not. But it's something that, again, for us, it is what it is. And so we're just adding it onto our debt snowball. We knew that it would, you know, take us a little bit longer then to get fully out of debt. And that's something that we're okay with. So like I said, we are still working on selling my husband's car. We haven't even listed it anywhere. Like, we really need to get on it, but we might wait until like closer to Christmas now, since it is like, we're like almost at that point. And I think it would be a great car for someone to purchase for like their kid as their first car. So I feel like we'd be able to sell it really easily during that time. In the meantime, we probably will have my dad kind of talk to some people and see about what would be the best way to go about selling it. We're hoping to get about $2,000 for it, and I think we can do that. It needs like a couple like cosmetic things, like the paint is like chipping and stuff like that, but we're not going to put the money into it, so it has to be someone obviously who's willing to do those things. So that's our car situation. That is our debt update. A little bit nerve-wracking just to like share those numbers and put them out there, and I've kind of been like hyperventilating over them a little bit the past few days, just with going back to work and knowing like, okay, we're getting back to reality, we're back to like basics, back to focus, and really making these things work. And so I've been like looking around the house like, okay, what can we get rid of? Like, there's a couple couches that we have at my parents'. I'm like, let's sell those. So it's getting serious in here. So I like feel the heat coming on. We're not going to be putting any more money towards Christmas. We have $500 in our sinking fund for Christmas right now. So I'm like, that just has to be what it is. And that's just going to be good enough. And if we can't buy gifts for everyone we want to, oh well. So that's kind of where we are right now, just getting back into the swing of things. And yeah, just a real life update about what is happening with our finances. So I'd love to know what's going on with you and what your personal finance journey looks like right now. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Leave them in a comment down below and I will answer them. Probably answer them in our Frugal Friday next week. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great weekend and that you just get lots of rest and that you're not stressing about your finances like I am a little bit. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.